Westwood. Welcome inside the crazy ant farm. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing awesome. We're super excited to talk to you tonight. We always love it when people just getting started in the industry and just start, they're so inspiring for all of our listeners because this podcast is literally based on people like yourself and for people trying to break into the industry or just getting started in the industry. So we're always so pumped to talk to people like yourself and get it. And we want to just jump right in. So we usually start off by an introduction to the fans who might not be familiar with you. So when did you know? When did you know that this is the industry that you wanted to pour your life into? Was it something that you just kind of always knew from the get-go, or did you kind of fall into it? Or tell us about that.
Well, thank you so much for having me
Of
first.
course.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I grew up in like a cinema family. Like so much so that my grandma used to play this game with us where she would write down movie quotes. And then when we were all bored and we had nothing else to do, she'd just like shout them out and whoever got it, got it. And so I don't know. I grew up just loving it because everybody else did and because my older brothers did. And, you know how that goes. But I remember my dad showing me a lot of movies, older movies when I was little, like Grease. My first crush was Danny Zuko. And I just kind of loved it from there. And I started doing theater when I was like 6. So I had like nothing else to do after that. I was just kind of going for it.
Hey. For sure. I love that, though. I love that. And you're New York based now, but where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. So I moved here, a few years ago for school, and I have one more semester left of college. And yeah, I'm loving it. I mean, have you guys ever been to Ohio?
Yes. Yeah. I am also from the Midwest. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. So I'm right there with you.
So you know. It's interesting life. It's definitely very nice, very relaxing, slow. You don't have to worry about, getting murdered on the train every 5 seconds.
Yeah, you know,
Facts.
but
it has its perks. So.
Exactly. Well, with you, starting out in theater, how was that transition when because everything is portrayed like very close up, very emotion reaction and not, performing for the back row. So how was that transition into trying to break into film and television?
It was definitely really weird because all my life was told, project. Like, come on, let the back row see what you're doing. Let the grandma who can't hear you, hear you. And, and so when I first started doing film in I don't know, my freshman or sophomore year of high school, I was just kind of like, I could just think it and it shows up on my face. I don't have to play for anybody else. And I think that's why I've stayed in film, because I think it's a lot more transformative in that way. Like when I'm doing theater, it just feels, and maybe I'm just not doing it right, but it feels like I'm just like performing for others. And it's all about the experience of the audience. And I think film is more of kind of an interpretive medium, at least for me. So it was difficult, but I like film a lot more. So I'm sticking to that.
That's a really interesting take, though. I don't think we've ever had anybody kind of address it that way before, right? Because, theater, you do get that instant gratification. You do get that instant feedback, but you're right. You're playing for the audience. It's not so much an appreciation, where film and television is not just for the audience, but like you said, also an actor's medium. You get the gratification. You get the growth and the feedback. I like that. I like that someone described it that way, because we don't hear that often enough, and why people may, I feel like we always hear stage is where you learn your craft. Stage is where you gain the skill and kind of stuff. But, there are benefits to the film and television too. Like you said, being able to grow as an actor and do things differently inward as opposed to always outward. So that's a really interesting take.
Thank you. And you started in acting too, right?
I did. Yeah.
Did you start in theater and then make a switch, or were you always film?
So always film and television. It was like I've done a little bit of on the stage, but that was way back, not anything professional, anything like that.
Has.
Yeah, at some point. I mean, I was Peter Pan. I put on the tights. I mean, you have to do it every now and then, right? But yeah, more so like film and television from the get-go. And it is a much different medium, but awesome. And thank you for doing your homework.
Of course.
I love that though, because it is a very interesting perspective, and I never really thought about it. And I've been to quite a few productions. I did start in theater, and I'm a thespian, had to pay the dues and all the good things. But I never really, as an audience member, I would never get emotional or feel their internal turmoil or anything like that. But when I'm watching film or television, I'm going through it. I cry at like every single movie or show. So I mean, that's a very interesting perspective that I haven't really thought about before. So kudos to you for opening up our minds. That's all we're asking for from our listen.
Yeah. It's so true though. I just literally cried at The Good Doctor last night.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like pathetic.
No, that's funny. I was also going to say, I remember seeing an interview, maybe it was like a round table with Adam Driver, and he was saying, I think he also grew up doing theater before he went to the Army or Marines or whatever. Very interesting life. But was saying like his job is just to portray an emotion that's in the script and what the audience wants to feel. And it was weird because a lot of people in that interview that were kind of saying, no, actually, I just kind of do whatever. And then, whatever the audience takes from it is what they take from it. But I'm not going to force you to see anything. I'm not going to make you try to feel sad. Like, I'm going to be crying. And if you think that's funny or you find it some other way, then that's you, And I don't know. I think if you're trying to make somebody else feel something, you're going to lose every time.
Right, exactly. As directors, like one of the things I always tell our actors is, I don't want you to act as this character. I just want you to be you that happens to be the character. I want you to go through how you would do this. Like if this doesn't feel natural, that's going to come across unnatural. I just need you to do this scene as you would be doing it and then, let the audience decide what they feel that way or not. I don't want you to put on a character. So, and I think you're right. I think anytime that anybody tries to do that, you lose. It's those natural performances, the thing that you're feeling from the inside portraying out, that's what connects to the audience. And I feel like that connection will happen. When you try to force that connection, it usually doesn't happen. So yeah, I think that's a really good way to approach. Have you found that with directors that you've worked with, or do they seem to be more open to you having an interpretation of the character and you kind of playing it the way you want? Or have you had to deal with directors that are like very locked down to, I want you to perform it this way, or I want you to stay to the script this way?
I think when I was doing theater, it was a lot more like you have to say exactly what the lines are, which kind of gives you some space in a weird way, because you don't get the freedom to improv. So you just kind of really focus down on what you're saying and exactly what you're saying and all that good stuff. But in terms of film, I've always had directors who were so nice, and I'm so grateful for this, who are just kind of like, do the scene, how it's written, and then let's see how you want to, go from there, and let's see what you have to bring to the table. And I always find that the best spontaneous moments come from that, just like freedom, do what you want, let's just see it. And it's nice because you feel like you're trusted as an actor, and then I trust the director. It's just a great relationship to go off of.
For sure.
Oh, most definitely. And with you being an up-and-comer yourself, this is going to be very insightful for all the up-and-comers trying to break into the entertainment industry. So when you first started getting into, film and television, how did you approach all of that? Did you go out and try to find an agent? Did you I know there's Facebook groups now. Did you try to find some of those? Or how did your first initial casting go about?
I remember I had an acting coach through high school, and he was signed with an agency. And so I just kind of networked into the agency basically. And they gave me a random commercial, and I was like, yes, I'm an actor. That's 6 months later. I haven't booked anything else. But I guess I started in that way. And then once I tried to really pick up in Cleveland, there's 48-hour film festivals, Facebook groups, like you mentioned. There's always people who are looking to create, even in Cleveland, Ohio, so many resources at your disposal. You just have to go and find them. And now I'm in New York, and everybody's doing something from 2 years old up.
Exactly.
You have a whole array of people who just want to be a part of art, and it's great. Just use it to network, use it to, create something new.
Most definitely. And I think a key point to take away from what you just said is, even in Cleveland, Ohio, all the up and comers who are listening to it, you don't have to be in the major hubs of the entertainment industry. It definitely helps. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, you can do it literally wherever you are. There's like-minded individuals where your feet are right now. So I think that is also very important. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And the second thing to take away with what you said is networking, being smart enough to realize, because actors, I think, sometimes forget and they're just like, I'm an actor and I'm there. But you're a brand and you're a business, and a business needs to network. It needs to make connections to get to where it's trying to go. And to know that very young, that's a really good thing. And for all the listeners, that's very important too, especially when you're not in a big entertainment mecca city, and you're trying to do it from an Ohio or from a Mississippi or wherever. Networking is crucial. That's how you get out there. So the fact that you know that and bring that up and we're able to do that, spot on. I think that's great advice.
And even if you don't know how to start a conversation, just start by being nice to everyone.
Exactly.
Every person that you see, just be nice, be respectful, obviously for, greater reasons of just being a good person, but also you never know where it's going to lead you. And I remember I just connected with somebody, I don't know, like a few months back, who ended up being the fiance of my best friend's sister, who I just met. And so when you continue to network, which is so weird, I don't even know if you followed that, but
no,
I explained it correctly. But you just see how small it really is. It seems like a huge industry, but everybody knows everyone.
Right. I completely agree, especially with, us doing the podcast and different guests coming on and stuff. They're like, oh, I worked with this person on this. I'm like, well, we just had them on the show. That's so freaking weird. But also going back to what you were saying about being a nice person, we were just out in LA for a big time charity event, by far the biggest room we've ever been in, with a whole bunch of Hollywood A-listers. And, we didn't want to, overstep our boundaries. We didn't want to enter in conversation and be like, oh my gosh, we're such a big fans, all this, blah, blah, blah. We kind of... Exactly. We kind of sat back, played it cool, just very chill, read the room a little bit, mingled like we normally do, not trying to overstep, like I said. And then at the end of the night, people started coming to us, and we made connections with like big Hollywood publicists and big Hollywood investors and different things like that. And that just shows they were looking at us all night and seeing how we were playing the field to see if they were able to approach us. So it's just different things like that. You don't have to be this eager, excited person who might bite their tongue at the end of the day. You can kind of just sit back, lay low, and everything will come to you.
And know your worth.
Exactly. Yes. But know that you belong in the room. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing, right? I think so many times people walk in and they feel uncomfortable or like, you need to know you belong in the room, and so that everybody else knows you belong in the room. But like Logan said, it's very important to show that confidence, show that you're worth and you belong there, but then not overstep that by taking it to cocky and trying to do things that you're not ready to do yet. It's a very fine line. But you know what else we also find is that sometimes when we do that, we go and we're in an event or we're on a red carpet or we're doing, and we meet you don't necessarily always have to interject yourself in. Sometimes they already know you. Mm-hmm. We've been in a situation where they'll come up to us and go, oh, such and such said this about you or that about you, and we've never seen these people before. And it's like, oh, you already know who we are. So it's very important, that networking, because like you said, it really is that small where everybody knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that probably now knows you. And, and the being nice part, if you're
Very
not
vital.
nice, they also remember that years down the line when you're going for that role. They're like, oh, that was such and such. We're not hiring her. Like, I mean, it's very important.
Yeah. And I think the same thing to be said about auditions too. Like, I used to always walk into the room like, oh my gosh, there's all these people here, like I'm not worth this, or like they know I'm a fraud, like, all these things. And now I just kind of walk and I'm like, look, if you want me, you want me. If you don't, like, cool, all the power to you. I'll see you at the next audition. And I've gotten so many more auditions when I have that attitude, not of like, I don't need this, but more just like, I know who I am, and like, I'm here. If you don't want me, you don't want me, and it's okay.
Most definitely.
And just getting off all that stress and just like relaxing. And you connect with people so much more, and you're able to be present in the situation as well.
Oh, definitely. And we had a guest, Tony Winters, come on the show, and we started adapting his phrasing when it's not the art of rejection, it's the art of selection. You know, you might be a Rolls Royce, and maybe the casting director, they come into a place looking for like a Lamborghini or different things like that. You just weren't the right automobile at that time, but that's not saying you're not the right automobile for another project. You're just not the right one at that time. So I think that is also very important. Not rejection, but it is selection. And that kind of leads us into a different part of the podcast that we've been discussing a lot recently, which is mental health. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because it can be an industry that tears a lot of people down. So how do you keep yourself so uplifted and bubbly and able to keep moving forward and apply for different things every single day?
I think a lot of the anxiety and worry comes from a level of expectation of like, I've been doing this for 10 years. I should be at this point. Or all these people are seeing me post audition after audition.
Right.
Like everybody thinks I'm a failure. Like, I think for me, just speaking for myself, that's where all the mental health issues came in. Like, just thinking about some random person from my high school, like, oh, they probably think I'm such an idiot for pursuing this. Who cares? Literally, who cares? And I decided just to not worry about that anymore, because going into art in and of itself, you are being a fearless person. You are being courageous. And like remembering it takes courage is very important. And sometimes that's hard. It's hard to be brave sometimes, but this is why it's so great connecting with other people who know what it's like to create art and know the magic of filmmaking. And these are the people I want to be around. And that lifts my spirits, not the random person I'm thinking about or like the expectations floating around in my head. So I think just connecting with the right people really helps. A good circle, supportive people around you.
Wholeheartedly, 1000% agree. We talk about that all the time too. Being in the room with like-minded people and with people that are going for the same goal and understand the same challenges and have been through the stuff, it's beyond helpful when you're trying to do it, because you do get those people that are on the outside. And, if you take your eyes off of, I always say, just continue to look forward. Doesn't matter how slow the progress is or how fast the progress is, as long as there's progress and you just stay forward. It's when you look off the path to that naysayer or that non-believer and stuff, and that's when it starts to get in trouble. That's when you start to doubt. Right. You just need to stay focused, look forward, no matter how long it takes or how quick it happens. Just stay looking forward, surround yourself with people that are on that path, and don't get diverted by those people, right? Because I think that's so important.
Yeah, and especially with something, I'm not sure if you deal with this, but me personally, that I'm trying to get better about is comparing myself to other people at their age and my age and different things like that. So it's like they had their own path. Now I have this is my path, and I just got to keep moving forward, like he said.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the star meter on IMDb? Do you know what that is?
Yeah. Of course.
It's the Bible. It's the Bible.
I'm like, why the hell do they do that? I mean, I get it, but I was just looking at mine the other day, and it was like over the past few years, and it was just like,
oh yeah, yeah,
and just kind of up and down, but it was like slightly going up, and that was so weird to see. I don't know if you guys look at your own, or maybe I'm just a weirdo.
Every Monday,
every
Monday.
Yeah, because they do it Sunday, right?
That's right. Yeah, yep.
I thought so. Yeah, and it's just like you don't see the upward climb. You just like think back to all those moments where you were like up and then down, up and then down.
Yep.
So I think that's nice to see as a visual. At least it was for me.
No, that's a fantastic point, right? If you look at it as a snapshot as opposed to the big picture, right? So if you click on that this month or 3 months, you do see that, right? But if you click on all time, it's up, right? And that is the way to look at it. That's a brilliant analogy, because it's all about the big picture, not the snapshot. You have to look at the big picture. That's where everything is. And I think so many people get defeated on the short term, right? We had another guest on that said it really well about the auditioning is the job, right? And the people were like, yeah, but I only made this or I only made that on the job that I did get booked. And he's like, well, I tell you what, put on a piece of paper all of the auditions that you did, that you got and didn't get, and then take the amount of money that you made on the jobs that you did get and divide it by all of them And then that's your average of how much you're making per audition, because the audition is your job. The booking, it's just the luxury you get. That's fair, but the auditioning is your job. And if you look at it that way and go, well, I'm doing okay, I'm making this much money per audition, even if I don't get it. That's a very positive way to look at it and go, okay, I'm doing great. He's also one that reminded us, you may have been great that day and didn't get the role, but they might have set you aside. He was for Walking Dead. He auditioned, like he said, more than 100 times and was just not chosen, not chosen, not chosen. And he's like, wow, man. And then they finally called him and he got the role. And the casting director told him, we wanted you from that very first audition. We put you in a drawer and we were waiting for the role for you till we knew it was the role we wanted for you. So sometimes you have to walk away going, I didn't get that, but I've got something. That was a really good audition, because you don't know. You could have blown it out of the park, and they're like, oh, okay, and put you aside for something else. You just never know, right? If you let that defeatist attitude get into you, you quit. You're in that drawer. You could have had something big, but you walked away, and oops. You know what I mean?
Yeah, book the room, not the job.
Yes. Good.
That's a t-shirt.
That's a t-shirt.
It really is.
Soundbite?
Yeah, exactly. Right there. I love that, though, because, I mean, there's so many different, aspects that you can take away from the industry, and there can be a lot negative, but it's like we've been talking about this whole interview is how you look at it and all the experiences that you've had, because we've been filmmakers for, I would say 6 years, at least myself. We've been together for 6 years working on stuff, and there's been a couple of projects that have been, year-to-year processes, and then by the end of the year, creative differences happen, and we have to completely start over. And it's those speed bumps that are learning experiences and learning how to continue moving forward. And it's just different things like that keep you hungry in the entertainment industry, that keep you moving forward. So I think those stories are very important for everybody to hear, because you're not going to have it be very smooth and steady. There's definitely going to be those speed bumps. There's going to be those, zigzags, but it's all good. It's all about your hunger.
So our advice for anybody listening to that we learned from those situations, just create your own shit.
Write your own stuff. Literally.
Those creative differences weren't us. It was us and something else. And we're just do your own shit.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. I was just like, I'm going to write my own stuff and I'm going to star in it. So.
Well, and there you go. That's a good transition, because, we wanted to talk to you about that too. You're not just acting. You're also writing and going behind the scenes. And that's a whole different aspect and a whole different game. So did you know you kind of always wanted to do that as well? Or is that just something with the acting that you were like, oh, this is kind of cool, let me kind of see how this is, and kind of transition into that?
Well, thank you for asking. I around like 8th grade wrote this really dramatic play.
Because there is so much drama in 8th grade,
I was just like emo and not knowing what my life was, but I wrote this really dark play, but ended up winning this competition, and then the community center put it on. And
okay.
So I was like, hey, this might be like a thing I can do. And then I remember after I did The Hunting, which was this like indie horror feature with Mark Hamer, we had a producer who didn't like the movie, but liked the cinematography and liked me, and said, hey, if you guys write something, then I'll consider producing it. So we were like, okay, sure. And ended up writing a feature, and it went really well, and I loved it. And I love working with Mark. He's a great guy. He's so nice. He's such a generous creative. And then I wrote another one, and then now I'm editing a pilot, and now we're pitching. So
yeah,
congratulations. I mean, just to get to that point is very huge, just to get in the room where it happens. You have to give those roses. You have to give those kudos to those ones who are making it happen. It's very important.
Yeah, definitely.
It's exciting when you write something and you get the opportunity. You find out somebody wants to hear it, that you're going to get to pitch, right?
You're like, this is what I do it for.
And the auditioning, for me, it's because it's a passion project. We have a series also that we're getting ready to pitch, and it's a passion project. But when it's always awesome as a director if you're producing somebody else's script, or you're directing somebody else's words and everything, and you do the casting, it's really cool and it's awesome. But when you've written it and that's coming from you, and then you watch somebody bring that to life, and you're like, holy shit, that I wrote that, we did, and it's like there. Oh my gosh, what a feeling, right? To see it come to life. I don't know about you, but for me, that's like the biggest excitement so far from this writing process and this series that we're writing and learning process with all of it that we're doing is seeing something that you created brought to life, and that they're as excited about it as you are when you created it, right?
Yeah, and affecting other people.
Yes, yeah.
Which is, what I think what we do this for. I mean, my work has a lot to do with mental health, we were just talking about, and a lot of feminist ideas behind them as well. And I want to write a climate change feature, and so I want to get that out to people. And I'm so grateful that people like Adam McKay are doing Don't Look Up, and there are people like Dr. Lawrence speaking out about it, because I think that's what it means to us. We want to have that effect on people, and show what we care about,
Exactly. Well, I know everything is very hush-hush in this stage, but can we have a log line? Can we have something that like can be a little tease?
I can't. I'm sorry.
It's all good. Like I said, we completely understand. We completely understand.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully something picks up.
It's just more reason to have you back on the show.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna just tell you guys to put me on, and then you'll have to.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that though. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show and getting a little crazy. This has been really fun, and I think it's going to be very inspiring for the up and comers trying to break into it. So thank you so much for your kind words and everything that you're doing right now, because you're making your voice heard, and I feel like a lot of people feel like they don't have a voice, and to let them know that they do, and they can make their own platform and do it themselves. Anywhere from Cleveland, Ohio down to Biloxi, Mississippi, or wherever the fuck you are, you can make it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
Of course. Well, it's all about social media now, so where can people follow you?
At Joelle Westwood.
Fantastic.
I know it's your name, so it's J-O. No.
Are you just on Instagram, or are you on multiple?
Yeah, just Instagram for now. I'm thinking about moving into the TikTok realm, but I don't know. We'll see.
I feel you. Well, listen, take care. Thank you again so much, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Okay, you too. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Man, that was really good.
It was amazing. I am always inspired when I see people. Well, back in the day, you and now Joelle and like young people that aren't scared, that understand that I can do this. And it doesn't matter my age. I show this quote all the time, but I just believe that it's so true. You're never too young to start, and you're never too old to start, right? It's just true. And so it's so inspiring to see people like yourself and Joelle and all the young ones out there going, this is my dream, and I don't care if everybody tells me to get a real job, if everybody tells me I can't do it, I'm going to follow my own path and just do it. And so I love when we have guests on like that, and I hope that everybody that listens to this interview and sees her enthusiasm and sees her excitement and how she's getting it done and has followed your story and your journey, that they know you can do it, because guess what? You can.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And then just being able to keep moving forward at such an early stage in her career, just being able to, take those downfalls, to take those hits, and to keep moving forward. That's what we keep talking about. So fantastic, man. It's always good to have people like her on the show.
Yeah. And her knowledge. I mean, she was dropping stuff that people that have been around 5, 6, 7, 10 years haven't figured out yet, but she's already figured it out. So pay attention, guys.
Exactly. She'd be good to do a top 5.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, man. Thank you again, Joelle, for coming on the show.